They laughed when I brought my own lunch, said I was too broke for takeout. What they didn't know, I was funding my app, and that week it got acquired for $4.6 million. I quit over Slack with one line, too rich for this. Now they're DMing me on LinkedIn. I left them on red. I used to dread lunch breaks, not because of the food. I actually liked what I packed. Rice, boiled eggs, some kind of sautéed veggie, whatever I could put together with $2 to $3 a day. I'd prep on Sundays, cooking everything for the week, then divide it all into 5 blue plastic containers. Same ones I'd used since college. Worn out, stained on the inside, lids slightly melted from a microwave. But they worked. The dread came from a moment I'd sit down in the break room. It always started the same. I'd open my container, and the smell of reheated food would fill the air. Then came the jokes, the eye rolls. One time, a guy named Marcus leaned over and sniffed the air dramatically, then said, "Smells like broke." Everyone laughed. Even the manager smirked. I just kept eating. They didn't get it. Or maybe they did and just didn't care. I worked at a mid-tier tech company. Nothing special. Small office. About 30 people. Half of them trying to impress the other half. Everyone had some expensive coffee in hand every morning. Lunch was always DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. Sometimes all three. They'd joke about who was getting what compare sauces, complain if their smoothie was too blended. I never joined in. I just took my lunch to the farthest corner of the room and tried to tune it all out. People thought I was antisocial. I wasn't. I just couldn't stand being laughed at every day. Every time I said no thanks to an invite to join a group order, someone would raise an eyebrow. Still on that Dave Ramsey plan, one of them joked once. I didn't answer. The truth was, I wasn't trying to be frugal for fun. I was barely keeping up with bills. I had rent, student loans, medical debt from an emergency appendectomy 2 years ago, and on top of that, I was building something quietly, privately, an app. I never told anyone about it, not even my closest friend. I was scared they'd laugh, or worse, give me that fake support face and never think about it again. I started coding it in my bedroom after work. Some nights, I'd pass out with my laptop on my chest. On weekends, I'd go to the public library because I couldn't focus at home. I watched hours of YouTube tutorials and read documentation until my eyes hurt. The app was small, just a simple inventory tool for food vendors. But it worked, and it made sense to me. I grew up in a family-run food truck. I'd watched my mom cry at night over missing ingredients or lost sales. I remembered my dad with 3 calculators out, trying to balance what he bought versus what he sold. This app was for people like them. It took me almost a year and a half to get a working version. I skipped vacations. I stopped going out. I wore the same winter coat for 4 seasons because I didn't want to buy a new one. All the money I saved by eating packed food went into hosting fees, domain names, freelance help when I needed it, some basic ads. Nobody at work knew. They just thought I was cheap. They called me Tupperware Tim behind my back. One time, someone left a takeout menu on my keyboard with "Treat yourself" written in Sharpie. Another time, I heard one of the girls whisper, "He's not even poor, he's just weird." I stopped eating in the break room after that. Started taking my lunch outside, even in the rain. I'd sit under this tiny ledge near the parking lot just to avoid them. I kept working. Eventually, I had about 300 users, all small food vendors, taco stands, family-owned barbecue places, one old man in New Mexico who sold tamales out of his garage. They loved it. I charged a few bucks a month, nothing big, but I kept building. I added features, fixed bugs, answered every support email myself. Then came the email. It was from a guy named Reynaldo. He ran a chain of deli shops with his brothers. Said he found my app through a Reddit thread. He wanted to roll it out to all 16 of their locations. I thought it was a scam at first, but then he called me. We talked. It was real. That rollout changed everything. The delis used a supplier, a big logistics company that handled deliveries and inventory for dozens of food chains. One of their tech leads saw the app. A month later, I got an email from their product team. They wanted a meeting. Then another. Then their CFO got involved. I was terrified. I didn't even have a lawyer. I found one through a referral from a college friend, paid him with money I was supposed to use to replace my cracked phone screen. We negotiated for weeks. Calls, emails, contracts I barely understood. I had to act like I was calm, like I wasn't eating oatmeal 3 times a day. And then it happened. They offered to buy the app. Full acquisition. I'd stay on for 6 months as a consultant, then walk away. Total, $4.6 million. Cash in stock. I didn't cry. I thought I would, but I didn't. I just sat in my room staring at the email, rereading it over and over again. I thought about every lunch I ate alone, every joke, every time I said no thanks and felt like garbage for it. The next day at work, I packed my usual lunch, rice and beans, ate it in silence. I didn't say anything to anyone. Then I went back to my desk, opened Slack, and typed, "Too rich for this." I hit send, logged out, and deleted the app. A week later, my LinkedIn inbox started filling up. Marcus, hey man, didn't know you were working on something like that. Crazy. Would love to catch up sometime. Jess, so proud of you. If you're hiring or know anyone looking, even my old manager, incredible news. Let me know if I can ever be of help. I didn't reply to any of them. I wasn't mad. I just didn't know them anything. After I quit, the silence was the best part. No alarms, no fake smiles, no pretending to laugh at the same office jokes. I slept in for the first time in years. The first morning after quitting, I made real coffee, none of that instant stuff, and sat in my tiny kitchen without checking Slack, email, or anything. But silence doesn't last long, especially when people realize you have money. At first, the LinkedIn messages were just from old coworkers. Most of them I ignored. 1 or 2 I left unread entirely. But then they started showing up in other ways. A guy from IT, Andy, sent me a Venmo request for $28.77. No message, just a request. I declined it. A day later, he sent another. This time with a note. Lunches you owe me, I blocked him. Jess, one of the project managers, DM'd me on Instagram. She had never followed me before. Said she'd been thinking about launching something too and wanted to grab coffee and learn how I did it. She ended with, "You always had that hunger, literally and figuratively LOL." I blocked her too. Then came the real twist, Marcus. The same guy who sniffed the air once and said I smelled like broke. He sent me a long message, full of praise. How he always knew I was different. How real respect comes from those who build, not those who consume. It sounded like he copy-pasted it from a LinkedIn influencer post. He ended it with a link to a pitch deck. He was building an app now, wanted mentorship, said it'd be an honor to get 15 minutes of my time. I stared at that message for 10 minutes before closing the tab. But the worst was my manager, Greg. He emailed me from his personal Gmail. At first it was friendly, "Hope you're well, saw the big news, congrats." But then it turned. He wanted me to come back for a one-time internal fireside chat with the team. He framed it like a favor. Would be great for morale. They could really use the inspiration. When I didn't answer, he sent a follow-up. Then another. Then he CC'd HR. Said I owed it to the team after benefiting from the company's resources during development. That part made my blood boil, because I didn't use a single thing from the company. I worked on my app on my own laptop at home at night. I never used their Wi-Fi, their tools, nothing. But now they were trying to spin it, like I somehow owed them part of it, that they fostered innovation, that they enabled my journey. A few days later, someone from legal reached out. They asked me to confirm if I had built the app using company time or equipment. I knew what they were doing. They were looking for a reason to stake a claim in the acquisition. They wanted a piece of the money. I didn't panic. I had my receipts. I sent everything through my lawyer. Login records, GitHub timestamps, even the electric bills showing my spike in energy usage during nights and weekends. It shut them up. But that's when I started feeling it, the shift. They weren't just curious now. They were bitter, maybe even angry. And petty people with no power get nasty when someone from their circle escapes. I got a weird notification one day from my bank. Someone had tried to access my account using security questions. They failed. Then someone tried to log into my old personal Gmail. I started locking everything down. 2FA, new passwords, locked credit. I never found out who it was, but I had a feeling, because a week after that, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It just said, "Must be nice to eat something better than rice and beans now." No name, no reply, just that one line. The bitterness wasn't funny anymore. It felt personal. Then I got the email from someone I hadn't spoken to in years, my ex-girlfriend. We broke up 2 years earlier, mostly because I was broke, distracted, and constantly working on the app. She said I didn't prioritize her, said I was chasing a fantasy. She met someone else, moved on, and blocked me everywhere. Now, out of nowhere, she was in my inbox. Her email said she saw the news, said she was proud of me, that maybe we could talk again sometime, catch up. That one hit different, because I remembered every fight, every time she rolled her eyes when I said I was working on that food truck thing. I remembered how she used to call it my little project. She'd go out drinking with friends while I stayed in debugging broken inventory features. She didn't believe in it. She didn't believe in me. Now she wanted to catch up. I left it unread. The revenge was starting to feel real now, but so was the pressure. So was the isolation. Because when you're the broke guy, with rice and beans they laugh. When you win, they come for your piece. Things got quiet again after the failed legal reach out. I figured maybe they gave up. I was wrong. It started with the emails from people I didn't know, vendors, recruiters, random startup founders, asking if I was still open to partnerships or looking for co-founders or if I was involved with Marcus's project. Marcus again. I looked him up. He'd launched a new startup page on LinkedIn same week I quit. The app's name was Pantry Pilot. Its description? Streamlined inventory management for food vendors. Clean design. Built by people who get it. Sounded familiar. Too familiar. I downloaded the app. It was a bad copy of mine. Same layout, same structure. Even some of the button names were the same. I checked the code. He had clearly reverse engineered it. My old UI color scheme was still there in parts of the interface. He ripped me off. Not only that, he was telling people I had mentored him that I was part of the early development of the idea. I even found a podcast clip of him being interviewed. He said, "I learned a lot from a friend who left his job after a big acquisition. He helped shape my thinking." He didn't say my name, but everyone could figure it out. I was pissed. I called my lawyer again. We sent a takedown letter and started pulling documentation of my original source code, launch dates, user history, everything. Marcus responded through his lawyer. Said everything was independently developed. Said he'd been working on the idea for months. Said any similarities were coincidental. I knew it wasn't true, but proving it would be long, expensive, and exhausting. While this was going on, I kept getting messages from old coworkers saying things like, "Did you hear about Marcus's new app?" Or, "Funny how fast these things pop up, huh?" It was subtle, but they were choosing sides. Some of them believed I helped him. Others believed he came up with it on his own. A few probably didn't care either way, but they liked that someone they knew was getting attention. It started to eat at me. This was supposed to be the clean break, the full circle moment. But now my name was being tied to something I had nothing to do with, and worse, it was a worse version of what I built. I started getting support emails from confused vendors thinking Pantry Pilot was mine, people complaining about bugs, people demanding refunds. I hated it. And then, just as I was preparing to move forward with legal action, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a cheap plastic Tupperware. Blue lid. Looked almost exactly like the one I used to bring to work. Under it was a folded napkin, written in thick black marker, "Should have stayed quiet." That moment changed everything. It wasn't just petty now. It felt threatening. I checked my building's security cameras. Nothing. Called the courier service. They had no idea who dropped it off. I filed a police report, but nothing came of it. The package wasn't illegal. Just creepy. I felt exposed, like someone had been watching me. I stopped sleeping well. Stopped going out. Even though I had money now, I barely used it. I didn't feel free. I felt hunted. And then, the worst twist. One of the early beta users of my app, someone I'd spoken to on calls, helped personally, reached out. She said she got an email from my team offering her a referral code to switch to Pantry Pilot with priority onboarding and discounted rates. She was confused, thought I had started something new. When I told her it wasn't me, she forwarded the email. The footer had my old company's name in it, not Marcus's, mine. They'd taken my old branding, my style, even the fake signature I used in customer emails. Someone was pretending to be me. They were trying to erase me from my own work. After that fake email surfaced, I felt something break in me. They weren't just copying anymore. They were impersonating me, using my old voice, my exact writing style, my brand tone. They were trying to rewrite the whole story as if I never built anything. I stopped sleeping again. Barely ate. I'd worked so hard for that one shot. Now, it felt like they were digging it up and burying it under something cheap, fake, and louder. I called my lawyer. Again, we dug in deeper. And that's when we found it. Marcus had hired 2 freelance devs, both from a site I'd used early in my app's life. I remembered one of their usernames. I'd hired him for a short project, button animations, nothing special. It was years ago, but he had access to my old staging links. I'd sent over screenshots, notes, code snippets. He sold them to Marcus. Not all of it, just enough to recreate the front end and a few flows. Enough to say, I didn't steal it. I just built something similar. It wasn't illegal. Not completely. I never made the guy sign an NDA back then. I was just trying to get by on a shoestring budget. I had trusted him, paid on time, gave him a 5-star review. He sold my work for a few $100, and Marcus used it to fake his way into startup circles. He started posting on LinkedIn every day now. Startup quotes, post photos in cafes, podcast appearances. One of them was titled From Broke to Bootstrap, The Pantry Pilot Journey. I watched 3 minutes. He said, I started with nothing. All I had was hunger and a dream. He even used the word hunger, word for word. It felt like watching someone else wear your skin. But here's where things got even darker. Someone from my old office, Hannah, reached out. Quiet, soft-spoken, used to do back-end QA. We never talked much, but she was always kind to me. She messaged me privately, said she wanted to show me something. We met in a bookstore cafe across town. She looked nervous, like she was scared someone would see her. She pulled out her phone and showed me Slack screenshots from the company workspace. They had a private channel, a joke channel, with my name in it. Hashtag Tupperware files, they never deleted it after I left. Turns out they had been sharing memes, photos, even Zoom recordings where I was mid-bite. Cropped images of my lunches. Polls like guess what's in Tim's sad bowl today? There were messages from Greg, from Marcus, from Jess, from Andy, even after I left, even after the acquisition. They never stopped mocking me. It wasn't just about food. It was about control. About the way people hate it when someone they picked on ends up doing better. One message said, hope he chokes on $1 million. Another said, I'd rather die than use his crappy app. They laughed behind my back for over a year. Then they copied me. Then they tried to erase me. I remember sitting in that bookstore chair and feeling like I was back in the break room. Same nausea, same heat rising in my neck. I thanked Hannah. I paid for her tea. She never asked for anything, just said she thought I should know. I went home and opened my laptop. If they wanted to start a fire, I could show them how it felt to be burned. I stayed quiet for a while, not because I was afraid, because I was thinking. I had options, legal, public, personal, but I wanted to do this right. I wanted it to be clean, not loud, not messy, just something they'd feel in the pit of their stomachs the way I used to feel eating cold rice in the corner of the break room. I called my lawyer and asked one thing: can I buy their startup? He said no, not directly. It wasn't on the market. But what I could do was better. I used part of the money for my acquisition and created a shell company. Clean name, no link to me. We reached out to Pantry Pilot, posed as a logistics startup looking to partner and invest. Marcus responded in less than 3 hours. The talks went fast. He bragged a lot, said they had huge momentum, solid backing, and a vision to scale globally. He had no idea who he was talking to. I got access to their backend. It was a mess. Bugs everywhere. Fragile data. Fake signups. No real traction. Just smoke and mirrors. We made a formal offer, acquire the platform, brand, and all assets. Mid-six figures. More than it was worth. We made sure it looked urgent, time-sensitive, like it would disappear if he hesitated. Marcus bit hard. He didn't even negotiate. Within 10 days, the deal was closed. Pantry Pilot was mine. He posted one final time. Proud to pass the torch. New chapter coming soon. A photo of him holding a beer, smiling like he'd won. He still didn't know it was me. Not until the press release. I wrote it myself. Short, direct. Pantry Pilot to be merged with Original Food Vendor app, founded by Timothy L. All previous branding and platforms to be discontinued effective immediately. I attached a photo of myself, sitting at my old lunch spot, Tupperware in hand. Same blue lid. I posted it everywhere: LinkedIn, Twitter, Reddit. The story caught fire. People remembered. Screenshots of Marcus's fake claims started circulating. Comments poured in. Startup blogs picked it up. One headline read, "Founder buys copycat app just to shut it down." That same day, I logged into the Pantry Pilot dashboard and did one thing: deleted the app. No transfer. No redirect. No archive. Just gone. Marcus tried emailing me once. No subject line. No body. Just a blank message. I never replied. As for the others, Greg, Jess, Andy, I watched their profiles quietly. Jess got laid off. Greg's inspirational leader post stopped getting likes. Andy changed his job title to freelance consultant. No one ever sent another Tupperware meme. I launched a new version of my app 6 months later, better, cleaner, stronger. With every new sign-up, I remembered the lunch breaks, the whispers, the time someone asked if I had a microwave at home. I didn't want an apology. I didn't want to be praised. I just wanted them to know what it feels like to be small, and then to watch someone they tried to bury grow taller than they ever imagined. And now, I eat wherever I want. But I still keep the old Tupperware, just in case I need to remind myself. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's quiet and final.